That night, the dream room was filled with the sounds of Keiko playing her guitar. Oh, okay, that's what that sound was supposed to be. Gotcha. Tonight there was no one else here. She slowly played each note and sang out to match the tone. Fa la so. Slowly, she matched her voice to the tune of the guitar. She enjoyed this process. It was fun, though simple. Keiko gradually started playing faster. It probably seems simple to people like me who don't understand what's going on, but you know, maybe it's a little bit more in depth for her. Keiko gradually started playing faster. She hit the body of the guitar to keep rhythm, strummed the strings, and sang. Keiko's voice filled the empty room. It wasn't an upbeat song, nor were there any lyrics, but her voice was clear and gentle. She seemed to sing more cheerfully than usual. It was almost a pity that there wasn't anyone there to appreciate it. But her voice was momentarily interrupted by a somewhat strong gust of wind from outside. Talking to herself, Keiko reached out and closed the window. Outside, multicolored flower petals flew past the windows, carried by the stronger than usual breeze. Some of the petals had blown inside and were now scattered around the floor. After the earlier ruckus in the apartment, Toru had started moving again, sooner than Keiko thought he would after he had been beaten up by Saki. What? We got beaten up? Saki hadn't made any more fuss after that, seeming resolved to a wait-and-see approach regarding Toru and Keiko. But Keiko wasn't allowed to spend the night in Toru's apartment, so she went home. Saki said that Keiko could stay at her house if she didn't want to go home, but Keiko declined the offer. Keiko still wasn't sure how she should interact with Saki. Yeah, they kind of got into it a little bit. I mean, it was just a little bit of an interesting situation there, for sure. So she wondered what she would do if Saki came here. She was worried it might be awkward. Maybe that's why Keiko murmured this to herself. But though she tried not to think of it, she ended up imagining it anyways. Don't imagine it visually. You can imagine it in your head, okay? She never thought he would want her so much in one night, nor did she think she would have so easily accepted him. Though in this room someone might just walk in on them, but at that rate, Keiko's face turned bright red. All she had done was imagine what he might do to her. Until now, whether anyone else was present or not, all Keiko had done was play her guitar at the end of the table. It was good practice, as well as a good distraction. Just touching her guitar calmed her down. But even though she was casually playing her guitar by herself, she found herself wishing Toru would come. I think that has a dual meaning, but we're not going to go into that further. Even though this didn't seem like her at all, she wished for it. It was almost like... Along with the voice, a figure appeared from above. Keiko looked up to see Maia standing on her toes in the back of a nearby chair. Oh, Maia. Maia leaned forward and fell into the seat of the chair as if it weighed nothing more than a feather. Interesting. Toru had certainly acknowledged that Maia was gone, or at least part of him did. But that didn't necessarily mean that he didn't wish for Maia to be alive. Wishes didn't have to be grounded in reality. Perhaps precisely because Maia was gone, he wished she wasn't. So ever since Maia had disappeared, Keiko wondered if she was really gone. I'm trying to remember, wasn't there times when she appeared after, like, we technically said goodbye to her in the last route? Or am I thinking of some time before that? I wonder if, like, the secret is, like, Maia, you can think she's gone, but she's never gone. She's always there, watching. Maybe it's because you thought that I didn't disappear. Keiko didn't give Maia her full attention. Maia was right in front of her, but Keiko was still more focused on the guitar in her hands.
わかりません。あなたの言ってることはいつも自分勝手ですから。
For the first time, Keiko gave Maya an icy look. According to Saki, Maya should be the same age as Keiko, but perhaps because of Toru's mental image of Maya, she looked much younger than Keiko. Maya was small in stature and always smiled, but there was something about her smile that made people uneasy. Wow, you think? Even now, Maya was giggling in front of Keiko.
さっき稽古は関係ないって言ったけど、そんなことないのよ。だって私、お兄ちゃんが幸せそうだなーって思って出てきたんだもの。
I'm guessing he can't be happy without you. Is that kind of your logic there? Keiko looked at Maya in silence. Her gaze was chilly. Maya didn't seem to care as she put both hands to her chest and smiled as though she was genuinely happy.
ねえ、稽古、あなた、今幸せかしら？何が言いたいんですか？
Maya got down from the chair, floated to Keiko's side, and floated to Keiko's side. Okay, apparently she can just float now. Hung in the air like a puff of smoke.
お兄ちゃんとエッチなことして求められて、それが嬉しかったんじゃないのかしら。そんなことあなたに言う必要はありません。少なくともお兄ちゃんは幸せだったみたいよ。
Keiko tried not to pay attention to her, but these words caused her to look at Maya involuntarily.
もしかして疑ってる？だけど本当よ。お兄ちゃんのことなら何でもわかるもの。
Maya giggled, and again as she put her hand to her chest.
全部わかるわ。あの夜何があってどう思っていて何をしたのか。ねえ、ケイコ。初めてであれは激しかったんじゃないの？
Uh-oh, she's getting to her. Keiko, you can't put on this brave front and then give in when she mentions something like that. You're breaking. Red-faced, Keiko reached for Maya but didn't catch her. Maya slipped through her hands.
乱暴なんだから。ひどいわ。誰があの夢を見せてあげたと思ってるの？まさかあれはあなたのせいなんですか？お兄ちゃんの望みと稽古の望みから作った夢の世界。二人だけのお部屋。楽しかったでしょ？どうしてそんなことをしたんですか？だってお兄ちゃんってば奥手だし、あれで結構頑固なのよ。きっと毎日迫っても我慢し続けるわ。
Yeah, I mean, she's not wrong. I feel like she does know him pretty well, whether we want to admit that or not. This made sense to Keiko. If Toru were weak-willed, then something probably would have happened between him and Saki a long time ago.
だから手を貸してあげたのに、どうしてそんな怖い顔をするの？
I think ultimately, though, that's going to be Maya's downfall, where she assumes that she knows Toru so well, and Toru's going to have really come a long way and changed as a person. I think that's what's going to allow him to kind of get the upper hand on her in the end. I think she's going to possibly be a little bit too arrogant about that, thinking that she knows everything about him.
誰もそんなことをしてくれなんて頼んでません。でもそうしたかったんでしょ？一晩中時間にしたらもっと二人が疲れて倒れるまでとても楽しんだじゃない。私はそのためにちょっとだけ背中を押してあげたのよ。私たちに何をしたんですか？素直になれるようにしただけよ。あとは疲れにくくいくらでも気が済むまで楽しめるように。
Maya giggled, as she usually does.
稽古ってばお兄ちゃんに抱かれてる時ものすごく可愛かったわよ。
Just how uncouth could she be? Keiko almost tried to hit Maya with her guitar, but resisted the urge. That wouldn't solve anything, and that wasn't what musical instruments were for. Good job, Keiko. Good job. Keiko's face turned red and she glared at Maya, who flew up into the air.
それを幸せだって思ってるくせにどうしてそんな顔をするの？人に見せる趣味はありません。それはごめんなさい。だけど仕方ないじゃない。私とお兄ちゃんはそういうものなんだから。私こそ本当は大好きなお兄 ちゃんが他の女の人と愛し合うところなんて見たくなかったわ。
That smile didn't leave Maya's face. To Keiko, it sounded like she meant what she was saying. Didn't sound like she meant what she was saying one bit.
けれど、お兄ちゃんが幸せになってくれるなら何だってするわ。だって世界にたった一人の私が愛したお兄ちゃんなんですもの。
Sorry, I'm just trying to fully understand this conversation here. It's interesting that she's kind of like saying one thing, but to Keiko, it sounds like she doesn't mean what she says. I don't know, because this is very bold of Maia, saying the things she is. I don't feel like she usually does that too often.
なら、どうして私の前に出てきたんですか？あら、わからない？わかりません。私は確かに先輩とセックスはしました。けれど、まだ返事はもらっていませんから。
It's still funny hearing the word sex in their sentence in Japanese. I don't know why, it's very amusing. Yeah, she hasn't received an answer. That's kind of true. I mean, some could interpret that to be the answer to your... But, you know, it's more romantic if you just kind of say it out loud, verbalize it, your feelings. Having to admit that made Keiko a little depressed. Because, I mean, it's true that you can just have sex with someone without emotions or feelings involved with it. It can be just purely lustful. So that doesn't necessarily mean that he's returning her feelings, I guess. She had told Toru that she loved him, not just then, but also on the way back from the hot springs as well. But Toru hadn't given her an answer yet.
あの夜のことがあなたの差し金だったとすれば、先輩はまた返事を遅らせるんじゃないですか。あら、私が手を出したのは2度目から後よ。最初は何もしてないもの。つまり稽古を抱こうと思ったのも、実際に抱いたのも全部お兄ちゃんの思ったままだから安心していいわ。その言葉を信用しろって言うんですか？一度目あんなに痛かったのに、2回目から後は気持ちよかったでしょ？
Keiko really wanted to grab her, but she was constantly out of
お兄
reach.
ちゃんの気持ちは分かってる。何を考えてるかも。だけどそれを私の口から言ったらきっと2人とも納得しないわよね。たとえ妄想でも聞きたくはありません。ええ、それでいいと思うの。私が来たのはね、お兄ちゃんに幸せになってほしいから。稽古、あなたに聞きたいことがあるの。私に一体何ですか？
Keiko was unconvinced, but she could acknowledge that they both loved Toru. So instead of trying to grab her and pull her to the ground immediately, Keiko decided to at least listen to what she had to say.
ねえ、稽古、あなたまだ一人が好き？どういう意味ですか？
Maya's words reverberated in Keiko's mind. She didn't notice the smile that crept onto Maya's face.
言ったままの意味よ。お兄ちゃんと一緒にいて幸せじゃなかった？
Now, I'm not entirely sure where Maya's going with this, but I think it's okay, to like somebody and want to be around them all the time, but also to want to have your own space, to want to have your own time alone. I think you can have a balance of both. I mean, I'm married, so, I kind of have to find that balance, right? It's like, I love being around my wife all the time, but at the same time, I want my alone time to do things that I enjoy by myself, right?
言わなくても夢の中でのことはわかるんじゃないんですか？私がわかるのはお兄ちゃんだけだもの。
Maia landed on the ground. Keiko had hardly ever seen Maia sit on the ground before. I know, she's always doing these really interesting things, like floating in the air or popping out of the ceiling. I don't know, she's always doing something different. Now she could see that Maia was even shorter than her.
答えて。あなたは今幸せ？
Real quick, before we hear Keiko's response, I do wonder, has Maia technically aged? Or is she kind of similar to her build before? I've kind of wondered that. Uh, since we don't really know the context of what happened to her, like, does she purely live in dreams? Is she still alive in the reality? We have no idea. I mean, as at least I have no idea. If you guys have an idea, good for you. But I really don't know. I'm trying to figure out the mystery of what happened in that forest still. I feel like we've gotten enough to kind of start understanding it, but not nearly enough to, like, feel confident in anything right now. So, looking forward to hearing that explanation. Alright, Keiko, are you happy now?
それはまだ人とつながるのは怖い
These words caused Keiko to grit her teeth.
怖いわけじゃないですけど何かしら一人の方が楽です
Yeah, I mean, it is always easier to be alone. It's easier to not have to meet other people's expectations. But I think there's a lot of joy and character building that comes from being around other people. Other people, like, help to shape you into who you are. I'm not necessarily saying you have to, like, appeal to other people, but they can help you more easily define who you are. Maya sneered. Kicking the ground, she rose up into the air again, giggles spilling from her mouth. Oh no, I don't like where this is going.
そんなこと言っちゃっていいの本当は一人が嫌いな寂しがり屋なくせに
Yeah, I don't like this smile. This there's hidden meaning, hidden intention behind it.
そんなことありませんじゃあどうして歌うの同じ歌うだけならお兄ちゃんの言ってたようにカラオケでも何でもいいじゃない稽古はどうしてわざわざ人のいるところに行って歌うのそれはその方が気持ちがそれは人を求めてるってことじゃないの
Keiko's face went red. It wasn't out of embarrassment, but it wasn't pure anger either. It was from an uncomfortable feeling of resentment, and it swirled around inside Keiko.
歌が好きなのはいいわ誰かに聞いてほしいのもわかるたとえその相手のことを好きじゃなくてもねだけど本当はもっとたくさんの人に聞いてほしくはないのもっと歌だけ歌って過ごしたいそう思ったことはないのそれは同じことじゃないでしょだけどそうしなければ歌だけでは過ごせないそれにきっとそうなれば稽古も楽しく過ごせるわきっとみんな稽古を愛してくれるそんなの余計なお世話です
Keiko looked up at Maya, annoyed.
望んでませんし与えられたくない何よりそんなことをあなたに言うのは逃げでしかない前に私に見せた夢を忘れたんですかまさか同じことをまた繰り返すつもりとでも思ってるんですかあの時はお兄ちゃんとルーティンに邪魔されちゃったから稽古の本当の気持ちがわからなかったのもあるけどごめんです少なくとも私はそんな夢はいらない
It's very interesting dealing with Maya, because I think in some ways she helps the characters kind of develop an idea of what their true feelings are. I think a lot of them kind of put a veil up to kind of hide their true intentions and their true desires. And Maya kind of has to work to get those out of them, which I think is kind of a good thing, to be honest. I know she's using it maliciously, but it is a nice thing that she kind of gets people to realize what they truly mean. So she's talking about Keiko, you know, not wanting to be alone and hating being alone, but, you know, at the same time wanting to be. So it's kind of this big contradiction that she goes and plays music in front of other people, almost like she's looking for validation from them. And she's kind of like pointing this out to her, like, hey, this is a little bit contradictory, that you say you like being alone and all this stuff, but then you go and play in front of other people when you could just go to do karaoke, where you could play by yourself and nobody has to watch. You could, if you truly enjoy doing it just for yourself and you don't want others involved, then you could just do it that way. but she doesn't. So it's kind of like this interesting hole that she dug for herself. And then Maya is excellent at really diving into that and punishing her with this. I think that's how she ends up getting people to make these dreams where they can kind of have things the way they want it and be happy. I don't know. Maya's really good at manipulating people. But at the same time, I think she actually does help them kind of develop themselves and ends up making them stronger through that if they can get through it in the first place.
へえ。じゃあ、ケイコはどんな世界を望むの？バカバカしい。あなたに望むことなんて何もない。
Keiko laughed at Maya's proposal.
本当に？何でも望み通りになるのにいらないっていうのね。ええ。だってあなたの言う望み通りになっても願いが何も叶っていないでしょ。
Keiko refused to acknowledge dreams. Well, we already know kind of from a previous conversation, you know, with the guitar strings and such, she likes to put in the work herself. She likes to see the end effort because she was willing to put in the effort in the first place. She doesn't want to just skip to the end, you know, she wants to stop and smell the roses along the way. Which is, you know, I think that's a good trait to have. I think, like, just rushing to the end result of everything and only enjoying that rather than enjoying the process that comes from it. You know, I think you'll be a lot happier that way if you can enjoy every step of the way. They were just illusions. They were nothing more than dreams to her. Even though Maya's proposal had been rejected, she was still giggling.
なら、どんな現実を望むの？私は、ただ、誰にも邪魔をされずに、一人だけで生きていけるようになりたい。それだけです。
Keiko. You shouldn't have said that. Maya's mouth formed a different smile.
なるほど。それがケイコの望みなのね。
You can't give her any inkling of your true emotions, your true feelings. Even if maybe if they're not even true. You can't feed anything to her.
それがどうかしましたか？私がその望みを叶えてあげるわ。バカバカしい。夢は夢です。私はそんなものを見せられたところで何を勘違いしているの？勘違い？何をするつもりですか？言ったでしょ？私はお兄ちゃんを幸せにするためにここに戻ってきたの。なのにケイコってば一人がいい、誰にも頼りたくないだなんてほんと頭にきちゃう。
Interesting. It's a really weird scenario. Like, if we just take these last two lines and then we take Toru's feelings. So Toru wants to be happy with her, but like he hasn't like really committed to his full feelings to her yet. She wants to be with him. She's the one that confessed in the first place. Yet now she's saying, I want to be alone and not depend on anybody. So Maya's like, this is really contradictory, right? I feel like the whole situation is contradictory.
私やサキちゃんが望んでも手に入れられなかったものを持っているっていうのにね。
Interesting. I like that she added that herself wants to obtain that as well. Finally noticing Maya's smile gave Keiko a bad feeling for the first time. I don't know, it just seems like Keiko wants to be, you know, independent, she wants to be her own person, and then she just doesn't know how to balance that with being together with Toru. I feel like that's kind of where the contradictory part comes in. I mean, you can absolutely be in a relationship with someone and not be, like, so reliant and dependent on the other person. I mean, you need to some extent, to make a relationship work. You need to give trust to them, and they need to give trust back to you. So in that sense, you need to trust them with a part of yourself. Maybe some things about yourself that you don't let other people know. You need to let them see sides of you that only someone that close to you would see, right? But at the same time, it's like you can still be your own person. You can still work for yourself. You can still, you know, have your own experiences, per se. You don't necessarily need to rely on them to do all of that for you. Alright, so Keiko had a bad feeling about Maya's smile here. Oh. I hate to tell you, she's been smiling mischievously this entire time.
誰にも頼らない一人で生きていける世界、きっと稽古の望むその世界は過ごしやすいはずよ。だから
I don't know. I think like not being dependent on other people is kind of interesting to me, because if you think about it, like look around you, like a lot of the stuff you have, it was because of somebody else. Like in a way, you were and still are dependent on somebody. You were dependent on somebody to give birth to you. You were dependent on someone to make your own food for you, unless you really go out and grow everything yourself. But you probably at some step got like the seeds from somebody else. You know, like if you really think about it, everything you have is because of somebody else. And I'm not saying that you like owe everybody else in the world something, but just humanity has grown in a way that we've kind of helped each other out, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. I mean, you can still use what you have from other people to kind of take care of yourself and not require more than necessary. But I feel like it's hard for me to say that you've never been dependent on somebody else, or that you don't need to be dependent on anybody else, because everything you have is because of somebody else in some way. My giggle like this was the most amusing thing to
いっ
her.
てらっしゃい。ええ、だからいい夢を。
Before Keiko could do anything, the world spun around and collapsed. It happened in an instant. By the time the room went back to normal, Keiko was already gone. Her guitar fell from the
さ
chair.
てどうなるかしら。
Maia paid no heed to that guitar, leaving only her laughter behind. She faded away into nothingness. No one was left in that room. Only pedals and a guitar lay scattered on the ground. Huh. Maia's definitely getting more bold. I will say that. Today I woke to the sound of the doorbell. When I looked at the clock, I saw it was almost time for me to get up anyways, and that my alarm was probably going to go off soon, so I got up. My head was still fuzzy. Who could it be at a time like this? Was it a package delivery or the mail? In that case, they were sure working hard to be here, even though it wasn't even 8 o'clock yet. Okay, I'm coming. Making sure that I was presentable enough so that people wouldn't scream if they saw me, I slowly got out of bed. We had been pretty noisy lately, so maybe the neighbor was mad. I thought this place was supposed to be pretty soundproof. I walked across the cold floor with my bare feet and opened the front door.
遅いわ。
In front of the door stood Saki, glaring at me with her arms folded. Okay, already something wrong here. Why didn't she just unlock the door like she always does?
何よ、変な顔して。
Well, this was strange. Since when did Saki start using the doorbell? Saki, do you not have your key today?
持ってるわよ。だけど勝手に開けてよかったの？いつも普通にチャイム鳴らせってうるさいくせに。
I don't know. This is already strange. Why are you being so considerate? Well, I would have preferred that, but come to think of it, how many times did Saki come in after ringing the doorbell, even since I moved here? She had a matching key almost immediately. In fact, it seemed like she has had that key on her keychain ever since. Anyways, come in.
上がっていいの？
Warily, Saki peered around me at the inside of the apartment. It was cold outside, and it wasn't like I had anything to hide, so I urged her to come in and went back inside myself. Turned off my alarm clock, which had finally started ringing, and started my morning preparations like always. For you not to use your key to come in, what's with the change of heart?
呆れた。昨日のアリスさんみたいな目に遭いたくないだけよ。
Oh yeah, I never imagined Alice would run instead of you. I did once tell Saki that something like that might happen, but she insisted she should use the doorbell, but... Yeah, guys, this is why we knock on doors, okay? You don't want to walk in on something you weren't expecting to see. Saki took a seat in her usual spot, still somewhat wary.
平坂さん、本当にいないのよね。
There's no way I could What am I saying right now? Successfully hide from her, from you, and I doubt Hirosaka would try to hide anyways.
平坂さんが私に気を使ってるの気づいてないわけじゃないでしょ？
But she's not the sort of person to tell a makeshift lie, is she? Even if she had stayed the night, she would probably just try to dress quickly. I doubt she would hide. Besides, even if she was here, there's no way I could hide her from Saki. Yeah, she'd probably, like, sniff her out or something. By the time I started putting on my uniform, Saki must have finally relaxed because she stood up from the sofa to make some tea. I've gotten tired of saying this, but what's with you not caring at all when I'm changing?
いいじゃない。代わりに私が着替えてるところにいてもいいわよ。
I don't think he necessarily takes up that offer, but that's not an equivalent exchange at all. It was obviously much more advantageous for me, so much that I would probably be stabbed if anyone found out.
だけど、平坂さん、ちゃんとお家に帰ったのかしら。
That's what she said yesterday, but she didn't say at your place, did she?
ええ、泊まりに来てもいいって言ったんだけど。
Well, school has started, so she probably needs to prepare her uniform and such for the next
た
day.
だ、家に帰るって言って、兄さんのところに泊まりに来てることもあるかなと思ってたんだけど。
She didn't. As we talked, I quickly finished changing. Saki was boiling water to make the tea. She really didn't seem to care whether or not I was only in my underwear.
ねえ、兄さん。私、これからは朝来ない方がいいかな。
Why?
あのね、兄さんは平坂さんと付き合うんでしょ？だったら妹とはいえ、あんまりベタベタしない方がいいんじゃないの？
Are you feeling okay, Saki?
何よ、その反応は。嫌な予感がするんだけど。
I hesitated on whether to say it, but in the end I decided to tell her. Actually, I haven't given Hirosaka an answer yet.
それは、まさかと思うんだけど。
Shaking, Saki pointed at me.
平坂さんときちんとお付き合いするって伝えてないんじゃないわよね。どういうことになってるのかしら？
Just take a deep breath, okay? Saki was emitting an aura much like I had seen from her yesterday, so I quickly prefaced what I was about to say. Hirosaka confessed her feelings for me, but at that time she had just come out of the shower and she was really scantily dressed. Honestly, if I said I loved her there, it would be more like I'd given into my baser instincts and that I'd really loved her, right? Wouldn't it just seem like I was lusting after her body?
まあ、兄さんの言わんとすることはわかるわ。
So I was gonna give her a proper answer when things settled down, but...
夢に閉じ込められて、それを終わらせるために平坂さんと、エッチをしたと。
Well, they wouldn't have worded it that explicitly. That was more or less what I was gonna say, so I nodded.
だから、エッチはしたけど、まだ好きだって伝えてない。なるほど。
So is that bad? Saki turned off the flame under the kettle. I offered a stiff smile. And tragedy repeated itself. Oh no! She beat us up again! I was just imagining her throwing the hot tea on us.
ほんと信じられない。兄さんがここまでひどいとは思わなかったわ。
Saki bit into the bread she had brought in a huff. As for me, I was at Saki's feet as she sat on the sofa, her foot digging into my back. Kinda kinky, but okay. Feel the same way. I was actually mildly relieved that this was still in a dream. She had beaten the crap out of me to the point where my body might as well have been smoking. I couldn't lift a finger, I couldn't move at all.
平坂さんに会ったら、できるだけ早くきちんと言うこと言って安心させてあげること。わかった？
About that, yeah, this is gonna be a little bit harder than you thought. I understand. Feeling my sister's heavy gaze and the even heavier soles of her feet, I nodded. Ooh, we can see what Yayoi is doing. Then it was time for lunch, my first meal of the day. I had been unable to move all morning, so I couldn't eat breakfast. Even as Saki glared at me with narrowed eyes, she spread out the bento tiers on the table like always.
なんでサキちゃんはトールにツンケンしてるの？
Her first chided as she made the coffee.
ダメよ。お兄ちゃんに彼女ができたからって冷たくしちゃう。安心していいですよ。きっと理由を聞いたら、弥生先輩も兄さんのこと冷たい目で見ますから。
Eh? You're gonna tell her?
自業自得でしょ。早くはっきりさせておかないから。え、何？もしかしてそれ私、 聞かない方が心穏やかでいられる気がするんだけど。
Club Press took a step back, can of instant coffee in hand. Hold on, I was gonna give Hirosaka my answer when I saw her today.
さきちゃん、トールは稽古に何したの？
兄さんってば、平坂さんに告白されて返事先延ばしにしてるんですって。
It definitely sounds like something Toru would do. A bit puzzled, Club Press put a finger to her forehead and thought. And then...
もうすることしてるのに返事してないって、それどうなのよ。
The timing just always seemed bad, you know?
だからってきちんと好きって言わないで一晩中稽古の体をもてあそんだなんてひどい、最低、この悪魔、きつくメガネ。
もてあそんだのは体だけじゃなくて心もじゃないでしょうかね。
Yeah, I honestly think they have valid points here. I'm really not gonna try to defend Toru. I actually think that they're in the right here for kind of giving him a hard time about this. Cut me a break. I'm sorry for what I did. Like, okay, maybe I'll defend him a little bit. The situations have been a little bit different, okay? Like, this has not been normal whatsoever, but in reality, yes, it's a little weird that you went ahead and had sex with her, but, you know, you didn't, like, confirm her feelings. You didn't say anything back. Lucky looked like she doubted whether that's how I really felt. Club Press was smiling wryly.
ところでさきちゃん、その塔の稽古はどうしたの？
Oh boy, they don't know.
それが今日学校に来てないみたいなんです。
Is there a call from her
特
house?
にないって。まあ平坂さんはそういうのあんまり珍しくないですから。
まあ、あの子らしいといえばらしいけど。
I can imagine her just wandering off somewhere because she didn't feel like coming to
だ
school.
けど連絡もないのね。あ、トール、せめて電話くらいしてみたら？
Okay, then I can see her when school's over. I hadn't been able to find a good time to tell her yesterday either, but I also thought I should give her my answer as soon as possible. I pulled my cell phone out of my pocket and opened it, then froze.
どうしたの兄さん。まさかまだ先延ばしにしたいとか言わないわよね。
It's not that, it's just I don't know Hirosaka's phone number.
なんでよ。私が知らないのはともかく。情けないわね。
I don't know, maybe this is an indication that you guys shouldn't have gotten together yet. Like, you don't even have each other's phone numbers, you know? You're not even, like, willing to confess your feelings back. You're not even sure, maybe, of what your feelings quite are yet.
いや、だけど、そういえば私も知らないんですよね。
The press looked at Saki in surprise. Saki opened her phone as well, but she couldn't find Hirosaka's number. Hey, I don't know for sure, but maybe Hirosaka doesn't have a cell
う
phone.
ん、確かにあの子必要なさそうだものね。
Thinking of why that was, put an indescribable expression on my
そう
face.
いえば今までも学校で会えたし、夜は夢で会えたから困らなかったから。
That's right, we didn't have any problems, but why hadn't we noticed before now? For now, let's eat while we think about what we should
そ
do.
うね。あの子はどうしてそんな。
Even Club Press couldn't hide her annoyance behind a smile, but it didn't seem like she was making fun of Hirosaka either.
稽古ってばトールがはっきりしないからフラフラしてるんだったりして。
Are you trying to make me feel worse? I already feel bad about it, so please give me a break. As we ate, we discussed what we should do. Just then, we suddenly heard the door to the science room being unlocked. The science room was supposed to be closed during lunch. If someone needed us, they could just come in from the hallway tour. We stiffened, but the one who came in was...
ご飯。
Since when did she get an outfit? What? Looking tired, Alice came in and sank into a chair. Seeing that she created a key and flew here from somewhere far away.
まあ今日は平坂さんも来てないし、余分に余ってるからいいんですけど。
あ、そうそうそれ。
Taking a rice ball from the bento box, Alice looked up.
誰か稽古がどこにいるか知らない？
Seeing how Alice was acting, I have a bad feeling about this. Hold on, what do you mean? After stuffing the rice ball in her mouth and swallowing it, Alice turned to face me. I like how she's coming to bring possibly bad news, and she has to stuff the rice ball in her mouth first, you know? Priorities.
言ったままの意味。 昨日の夜トールとケイコがいなくなったみたいに、またケイコがこの夢にいないみたいなの。もしもトールも一緒だったらまたかって思ったんだけど、こっちは普通にいるし。
Alice, when did you notice that Hirosaka was missing?
わかんない。いつでも誰がいるってわかるわけじゃないから。たださっきみんなはいるみたいなのにケイコだけ見つからなかったから、それであっちこっち探したんだけど、ケイコのいるところに行ける鍵が作れなくて、試しにみんなのいるところに来てみたんだけど。
そしたら私たちのところには来られたと。なるほどね。
The press seemed to have eaten her fill because she had put her chopsticks down and picked up her coffee. I always thought to myself that Japanese food and black coffee didn't match on a fundamental level, but we usually tended to drink that after lunch.
ケイコに最後に会ったのはトールでいいのかしら。
No, I think it was Saki. You left together after that, right?
ええ。だけど変わった様子もなかったし、家に帰るって言うから駅に向かう時にもう別れたんだけど。
まさか昨日の今日でいなくなるなんて。何かあったのかな。
Yeah, and they're not going to think of Maia because they think Maia's gone. Alice must have been really hungry because she chowed down the portion of the bento originally meant for Hirosaka. Saki and I had already eaten quite a bit too, so we set our chopsticks down and let Alice have the rest. But rather than being concerned about lunch, I wanted to go look for Hirosaka right away. You couldn't get to where Hirosaka was with any key you made, right, Alice?
どこ行ってもいないし、時々あの部屋に繋がっちゃうし。
あの部屋っていつも夢でみんなが集まってる部屋よね。そういえば昨日の夜は何も夢を見なかった気がするんだけど。
The press looked at me. I didn't have any dreams either. Kind of unusual. The press seemed to have something in mind, but she didn't tell us what it
兄
was.
さんや弥生先輩は平坂さんのところには行けないの？
私そういう SF みたいな改ざん苦手なのよね。
慣れてない人はあんまり無茶なことはしない方がいいしね。
After thinking a bit, I stood
どうし
up.
たの兄さん。
I'm gonna look for Hirosaka. I have a bad feeling
午
about
後の
this.
授業まだ残ってるんじゃないの？
I'll say that I don't feel well. It was convenient to have a readily available excuse at times like these. Although it only meant it was easy to get out of class, it didn't take supplementary lessons or attendance requirements into account.
兄さん、私も探しに行くわ。
そんなに慌てなくても夜になれば多分あの部屋で会えると思うんだけどね。
Lepra shrugged at us. She didn't seem worried in the
とりあ
least.
えずトールとアリスに任せてサキちゃんは学校終わってからでもいいんじゃないかしら。
Well, it's not like I have any concrete ideas, so that should be fine.
他の夢に行っちゃってると、サキちゃんだと探しにも行きづらいしね。
こういう時、現実的な自分がもどかしくなるわ。兄さんたちみたいにもっと夢見がちならよかったのに。
なんか今普段はバカにされてるんじゃないかって思えたわ。
I wouldn't call you well adjusted after what you did to me today and yesterday. Depending on who she had done that to, it was a sort of incident that could have led to lifelong trauma. Also, it was important to mention that Saki was the only one out of us who tended to pull out weapons and firearms. That's very much true.
あれだけされてすぐにピンピン動いてる兄さんが夢見がちなだけよ。
Well, that was one way to look at it. I stood
あ
up.
れトール、もう行くの？
I have to tell the teacher I'll be absent. After that, let's go look for her. You can take your time eating until then. With her cheeks stuffed full of food like a hamster, Alice nodded. She looked a little worried and Gleprez was giving me a slight smile. Like always. I wonder where Hirosaka is. I hoped it wasn't my fault. Because no matter how I ended up telling her, my answer was already decided. Although that was hardly appropriate for me to say after I made her wait so long. I walked out of the preparation room. He's finally got the resolve to kind of tell her his feelings, and then now she's gone. I left the cigarette smoke-filled staff room. My homeroom teacher gave me a dubious look at the sight of me, all packed to leave, but allowed me to go regardless. Are teachers allowed to smoke in the staff room in Japan? But Hirosaka, huh? Maybe she was just out singing somewhere with her guitar. I hope that was the case. I sent Saki a text and headed for the shoe rack. There was no need for me to go pick up Alice. In fact, since I was leaving early, I didn't want to be spotted walking through the school with Alice in tow. After I texted that I was waiting outside, I suddenly spotted an unfamiliar figure on school grounds. He wore a suit, and though some of the teachers also wore suits, this wasn't a teacher. It was more than that. This man obviously looked out of place in the school. I'm assuming it's Keiko's dad. You're Hirosaka-san, aren't you? When I spoke to him, he stopped and turned around. This frickin' guy. It was a curt reply. His eyes seemed to view the things around him as unimportant, not unlike Hirosaka's. But in contrast to Hirosaka, who looked at things like they were an annoyance, this man's eyes were cold and emotionless. Oh yes, it's about Keiko-san. His eyes narrowed slightly. Last time we'd seen each other was on that crazy Christmas. I couldn't tell by his expression whether he remembered that day or not. She didn't come to school today, and she didn't contact the school either. I was just wondering if you knew anything. It was lucky that I had run into him here. Hirosaka went home last night, so maybe he knew what she had done after that. But like before, he looked at me as though appraising my worth. It was a little uncomfortable. There was no reason for me to falter either. I had it together enough for that. And with that, he attempted to walk away. Hold on, this is your daughter we're talking about. Why are you being so cold? When I reproached him, he looked at me with icy eyes. Without even acting like this was a pain. It was the same sense of strangeness I had felt before. This person didn't see the people around him. Did you see her last night? She said she was going home. Wait a minute, what's with that attitude? Hirosaka's father tried to walk away. She's absent from school without letting the school know. Aren't you worried that where she could be? When I heard they chased after him, he turned to face me. I thought he might finally talk to me, but he grabbed my shoulder firmly. His hand was thin, but strong like talons. His fingers dug into my shoulder through my uniform. Not yet, but I have to look for Hirosaka. His hand was so strong I felt like he was clamping down my shoulders with pliers. His voice sounded like he was giving an explanation for the first time, and it was clear that he was looking down on me. He thought if he threatened me like this, I would easily listen to what he said. Unfortunately for him, my nerves weren't weak enough for me to listen to a threat like that. I knew of things, and people, far more frightening than him. You think it's fine not to search for her? Yeah, but what is he doing here? Is he looking for her as well? I mean, it looks bad on him, I'm sure. I know that Hirosaka would be troubled if bad rumors start spreading. He looked like he didn't understand. What? Releasing my shoulder, he started walking away again. The reason he had been squeezing my shoulder so tightly, the reason he told me not to ask around, I thought that they were for Hirosaka's sake. That's what I had to wanted to believe. Are those the words of a father? Next thing I knew, my words had formed into fists. Not that I was going to do anything with them. But if he talked down to me anymore... Yeah, don't try to fight him. You're not going to win. Let's just be honest, Toru. Someone gently put their hand on the shoulder which Hirosaka's father had been pinching. Then Club Prez walked past me. Hirosaka's father stopped before looking at us with the same emotionless eyes. He didn't show any interest in Club Prez stopping me. He gave her the same icy look. Club Prez? There's no reason for Club Prez to apologize to someone like this, but she glared at me before I could say anything. So Hirosaka had gone home. Alice must have lost her after
え
that.
え、友達ですから。何日も帰ってこなければ探すと思います。彼みたいに一日学校に来なかっただけで心配して大騒ぎする気は起きませんけれど。
Hirosaka's father snorted in response.
何日も帰ってこなかったら、私なんかよりも警察の仕事になってしまいますね。ねえ内藤くん、恵子さんの行きそうなところって心当たりあるの？
I could tell Club Press was making an unpleasant expression when she looked at me. To be honest, I knew hardly any places. Yeah, a few.
くだらん小細工はいい。君たちは何が言いたい？
警察が手を貸してくれるようになるより早く見つかる分には問題ありませんよね。
Club Press gave him the kind of perfectly manufactured smile that she only showed to outsiders.
くれぐれも私に迷惑をかけるなよ。
And with that, he left for good. It's hard to say something, but Club Press patted my shoulder again. It was enough to make me rethink flying at Hirosaka's father. He turned a corner and walked out of
ま
sight.
ったくもう、心配して後から来てみればこれだもの。
I'm sorry.
疲れた。ほんと、トールってばそんなに気短かったっけ？急に殴りかかりそうになってるからヒヤヒヤしたわよ。
I wasn't planning on punching him.
まだね。いつでも殴れるようにしてたくせに。
Yeah, I don't think it was a plan, though. I think it was just something that was going to happen. She gave me a supremely annoyed look, then she waved her hand
い
lightly.
い？頭に来たからってそんなことしても一瞬すっきりするだけで何の得にもならないの。そのくらい分かってるでしょ？
I know, but
あの父親のところにずっといて耐えてるのは恵子でしょ？トールじゃないわ。
those words weighed heavily on me.
今回は耐えられなくなってどっか行っちゃったのかもしれないけど。
Why do you sound like you're having fun? As Club Prez waved her hand dismissively, I noticed something odd. Actually, is it okay for you to talk normally in a place like this? The way Club Prez had spoken politely to Hirosaka's father was how she usually acted in front of other people. So it felt strange for her to be talking so normally to me in a school hallway like
大
this.
丈夫よ。もう午後の授業始まってるし。
Eh? I hadn't noticed the bell ringing, but I could hear voices coming from the schoolyard for PE class. Hardly any students came through here, so I hadn't even realized. Club Prez gave me a push on the back.
さてと、それじゃああのいけすかない父親のメンツを潰さない程度に恵子のこと探しに行くとしますか。
Yeah, screw that guy. Eh, let's. You're coming too.
行くわよ。私、単位ほとんど取り終わってるし、午後に出なきゃならない授業ないもの。さきちゃんも家の方に電話してくれるし、アリスも私がトールと一緒ならって鍵使ってもうどこかに行っちゃったし。
Club Prez hurried me towards the shoe rack. But you said...
ああ、すぐには行かないって言ったこと？そんなの嘘に決まってるじゃない。何？まさかこの状況でも私が本当に恵子のこと探しに行かないと思ってた？
Sorry, I did a little. Making an unpleasant face, Club Prez put both her hands on my cheeks and squeezed them together. What are you doing?
そりゃ私だって恵子が普通に無断欠席した程度ならほっとくわ。だけどアリスがいないって言ってるんだもの。何か起きてるのは間違いないでしょ。
She released my cheeks and turned around. I was half expecting her to call us an idiot sandwich.
そういうわけだから。ほら、行くわよ。
Right. Following after Club Prez, I left the school. Time to search for Keiko. Even though she's probably just in another dream. We decided to split up to look for Hirosaka. I think we're gonna go ahead and end the video here. I think this is a good segue into actually looking for her. We had a lot of interesting conversations. Maia, you know, manipulating things like usual. And an interaction with Hirosaka's father. That's not something we usually have. But I think I'll end the video a little early. And then hopefully we'll be able to really dive into looking for her. And figuring out where exactly she is. So anyways, you guys, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a good one.